The agricultural industry has been an integral part of New England society and economy since its colonization in the 17th century. Without our farmers, we wouldn't be where we are today as a region, or even a country. Despite advancements in industry and technology, farming is still essential to maintaining the livelihood of everyday New Englanders. Agriculture is particularly crucial to the well-being and health of Vermont's economy. We give little thought to how much easier farmers make our lives. It's not optimal, but the agricultural industry still operates in the coldest of winters. With temperatures frequently below zero during the winter season, the harrowing story of these farmers' experience is one which is rarely told.
Wheel come a rattle, come a snaddle, come a rattle, come a snake, and they got him on the ee-wah, wee-wah, wheel.
My name is Betsy Ferries, and I am one of 6 folks this year that are running this farm. The woman who started it, a remarkable woman, came here from Africa with her husband, and they had been living in Madagascar. She wanted to get involved and start a project. So she wanted to work multiculturally. So she started to ask the new Americans, what do you miss about your homeland? And time again they said, you know what we really miss? Goat meat. We can't get it here. That's what we're so used to eating. So fast forward, she, in her great style, said, okay, let's see what we can do. So now she had a piece of property and a partner. The next piece of the farm was chickens, and people were interested in chickens as well. So those are the 2 main livestock entities we have. People come and they, let's say, look at all the goats that are available, and so whatever it is they want, they mark it with on the hide with marker, and then they schedule a time to come back to our slaughterhouse and slaughter the goat. The goat meat tastes great, but also the act of doing it themselves and taking this warm, freshly, carved up meat feels so good. Chicken, same way, they come, you don't necessarily come back, but they slaughter the chickens and take the chickens home. We have volunteers, stewardship of the land with Vermont Land Trust involved. There's a lot of care taken. The community gardens, the compost that has been accumulated gets put down on the gardens for next spring for good fertilizer. I think we plant a little bit of rye on top of that. We do have beehives, 4 of them, and those bees sort of get put to bed, if you will, for the winter. The chickens, that operation closes down because he doesn't have a warm place to keep chickens over the winter. The goats, we had to drain the water from the water line from the house to the barn, and the goat farmer and his wife had to carry buckets of water out for the goats. For the goats, they're moved inside, so it means a lot more cleaning up of the hay and trying to keep the goats warm.
My name is Murray Thompson, and I grew up here in Colchester, and our family, my dad's family and previous generations have been farming here for several generations. Now I'm married and I have a son, and I do mostly maple sugaring and sell maple products that is totally raised here on the farm. So this is our sugar house, and this is what's called the evaporator, and I'm just going to raise this hood up and you'll be able to see into the can. Keep in mind that it hasn't been used in several months, it's just sitting here collecting dust. The other way. So the way the sugaring thing happens is the sap runs out of the tree and flows through a pipeline into a tank and eventually it gets to this tank right here, and then from this tank it's pumped into this evaporator, and it goes into this pan first and boils, and as it boils long enough, steam rises up through this hood, goes out the steam vent, and then it flows into this pan. This is the only pan that you can see, but it'll go into one of these channels, and then it flows through the channels, and it comes out here. There's a and this is my raspberries, which they just got done bearing. There's probably still some berries on here, frozen or whatever, but there's a short row of black raspberries, and then there's 3 rows of red raspberries. Well, most of the things I do, we know we're going to have winter, and so raspberries, if winter was going to be a problem for a raspberry, they wouldn't have grown in Vermont in the first place. So that's not a real issue. The sugaring, it needs, you kind of need freezing and thawing to make sap run. So we're glad we have winter. There's not a lot of sugaring that goes on in the southern part of the United States.
My name is Patty Hart-Honan. I'm the owner and manager of Enniskerry Farm. We are a boarding facility that also does lessons for adults and kids. We basically do hunter jumpers, thoroughbreds, ponies. We have a couple of people here that ride Western. Because we have the indoor riding facility, we usually actually blanket the horses for the winter, basically so they don't grow as much hair. If we can keep the horses from growing too much hair in the wintertime, then they don't overheat when we work them. The biggest difficulty with wintering, getting the barn ready for winter and farming in Vermont is making sure that things don't freeze. We drained the water lines to the fields for automatic waterers, and we're working on draining the rest of our pipes that carry water out to the horses. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing that we usually do so that the pipes don't freeze and burst. Aside from that, it's basically making sure the fencing is sound and strong for the winter, that the snow and ice aren't going to, break them. We had the windstorm recently, which was a nice test of our fencing, and to make sure everything was, cleared off the fence lines and there weren't any fences that were going to come down in heavy weather. So at least Mother Nature did that one for us.
And what I say about all kinds of farming, it's a lot of fun. So even though it's a lot of work, it's very enjoyable. And so people don't quit, people who are farmers don't quit farming because they think they could make more money somewhere else. They have to really struggle financially before they would quit, because it's in their blood, or it really is fun. I mean, even if you're right out straight and you're not getting to stop for lunch and you got to work all night, in the height of sugaring or something, it's still fun.
I think Vermont is in many ways tailor-made for this sort of model. As a state, people are quite environmentally conscious about what they do. We were the first bottle return place, and no billboards, and recycling in the city of Burlington is huge. So I think there's a sense of people here that the environment is to be protected and to be valued.